Good Friday morning.
Good Friday morning, Mark. How are you? I missed you.
I missed you too. It's been a nice holiday, but I'm happy to be back here online with you.
Awesome, man. So there's been not a heck of a lot going on. We've had a couple of great shows with Grant Wise, and we had the King Trio yesterday. I called them Sekou, Brett, and Chris Tarda on yesterday, and it was a great broadcast with them. And Grant was, I mean, he was astounding and extraordinary
Right.
On Wednesday. So welcome back. Here we go. It's Friday, and I think next week we start the 6th week.
6th week next week.
Wow.
Well, let's take this back to the beginning. I want to introduce our special guest we have today with us.
Okay.
Mayor Mohammed from Teaneck, New Jersey. Good morning, Mayor. How are you?
Good morning, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Morning, Mayor.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
So Mohammed, tell us, take us back 6, 7, 8 weeks ago when this all started. Tell us about your leadership and what hard decisions you had to make in order for the Teaneck town to really progress and flatten the curve.
Wow, it seems like it's been years ago since that happened. But what happened was there wasn't people who were across this country. It's still happening. It wasn't taking it really seriously.
Right.
And we knew it was coming. I kind of was watching the news, what was happening internationally, and then I saw the numbers go, 2, 4, 8, and then 18. And at that point, I was just like, well, this isn't going to be good if it keeps doubling at this.
Right.
So on that Saturday, the 13th, we decided to I called for a self-quarantine myself it was Shabbos. Nobody was listening.
Right.
They woke up to this. There was a lot of people who woke up to this turned on their electronics and found out what I was saying at 8 o'clock. And then the next day we decided to declare a state of an emergency and ask a lot of businesses to shut down.
Right.
And put a lot of measures in place for social distancing. So I think, the tough part about this is sometimes you just have to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to make the decision based on the best information that you have. But when you know it's right, it's a lonely place because, Sunday and Monday, it wasn't so much like, oh, he made the right decision. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday was like, who does he think he is?
Right.
And then once the governors all followed suit, then everybody was like, oh, you made the right decision. For me, I have to live in this town. I have to live here. This isn't my first rodeo, my first emergency. I knew that if it got worse, just like it is now, it takes a while for the federal government and the state government to kind of turn around and give us the resources that we need. As you can see, even from a real estate perspective, the CARES Act didn't really address any of the needs to the real estate industry.
No.
Just like in the municipalities, they didn't address any money for extra money that we were going to be spending to fight this crisis. So those were the basis things that I made to my decision on. But I would love to talk about small businesses and how you guys are affected, because as we saw yesterday, $350 billion in quote unquote loans and grants that small businesses were supposed to get are gone, right? So you take that $350 billion and then you take $150 billion for hospitals.
Right.
And that leaves what, $1.5 trillion for what? For big business so that they can do layoffs.
Right.
This is where the thing that I think that, like, in politics, what I really feel is whether you're in Trumpism or in Bernieism, it's the same thing, right? It's government is not working for me, right?
Right.
People
Absolutely.
do trust what's coming out of Washington, as we see here. That bill was 1,000 pages long. Do you actually believe that any of them read it? In that week, you actually believe any of them read it? And here's the other thing, right? So look at what's going on right now. And we've talked about this with many people who are part of the ARC Tunnel. I have, right? The ARC Tunnel, the project itself, right, is so important to this region, just from a real estate perspective and a Wall Street perspective, right?
Right.
But these guys are not sitting there spending the money to build that. Rather, they would love to see it crash, and the real estate market crashes in this area. And then where does that leave us again? Right. And this is where I think that more and more people have to get involved in public policy, especially real estate agents and everyday business. But we have to, like, the thing about it is we're talking at each other and we're saying the same things, right? Like if you look at Bernieism and you look at Trumpism, it's the same thing.
Right.
Washington's not working, right? $1.5 trillion for big business to do layoffs. Lobbyists wrote the bill. I'll give you another example, right? Is that why did Marriott get a chunk of money out of the CARES Act? Holiday Inn, Marriott, Hilton. You guys know they don't run the hotels. They're not the small business owner. The franchisee is the small business owner, and he got nothing. Right? He got like pennies on the dollar, and his labor is about 36% of his total revenue. Right? These are the things that I think, as your audience and as the real estate agents, right? Definitely, trying to figure out like Bergen County Realtors, all of these organizations that you're a part of, really need to get together and have a mature policy conversation about how this is going to work going forward. This is the third trauma that we faced in 3 decades, right? God forbid another one comes, but you can see Washington from September 11th to the financial meltdown to now, they have learned absolutely nothing. And what people who are going to be involved have to really understand is that it is going to be a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? Revolutions don't work, right? Everything, when you have to come up with a clear, these 10 things don't work, right? And these are the 10 things that we want to work on in the real estate industry, whether it's on a local level, state level, or on a federal level.
Right.
I'm talking for a lot, so I'd love
right.
to
Well, you brought up a good point where you said it's lonely in leadership, right? And that's something that Dave and I have spoken about before, is that when you get to a certain point and you're making hard decisions that are not popular, it is a lonely place. So, when you made this decision to shut Teaneck down, right, in order to, flatten the curve, what pushback did you get from people? What support did you get from people? Like, when did you see it really start to change, where people really got behind you and said, this is the right thing to do?
I would say Tuesday. We started the conversation on a Saturday and Tuesday, but that's only because the governors of New York and New Jersey and New York City were following suit.
Right.
Saturday, it was national news when I said this. Sunday, we had the press conference. Even with, Mike Marin of Holy Name Hospital and Adam Jarrett standing next to me and Josh Gottheimer and the county executive, the press was still a little iffy about, how are they going to do this? And is this realistic? And is it an overreaction?
Right.
So I think it was by Tuesday that I think that everybody kind of followed suit and said, oh, he was right in doing this.
Right. And has the curve flattened in Teaneck now in the last 6 weeks?
It's the rate of infection has slowed down, but that doesn't mean like the numbers were still, based on population, we're still the second largest residents with infections. There's a factor of a couple of things going on. I think that a lot more people in Teaneck are getting tested who have mild symptoms, whereas other places, they're not getting tested if they have mild symptoms. But we are happy with, there was a couple of things going on. Not only the rate of infection has slowed down, but it also prevented hospitals from being overrun. Right.
So now where we are today, Dave was going to ask a question, but I cut him off. But where we are today now, in terms of small businesses in our town and Teaneck and other towns getting back to normal, what can we expect the process to be? Are the towns going to allow our small businesses to reopen again?
Right now, the governor just extended it to May 15th, right, which was the school closing. So I'm kind of following that lead, that he'll be under the same. We haven't been told anything, but the daily press conference is basically shooting, I would say, for mid-May or late May.
Right.
So for me, I want to commend you on your leadership, number one, and thank you for that. I know, you said lonely at the top, and we repeated that, and it's like, basically, I want to use that as an example to a lot of people that watch this broadcast or will watch this broadcast and say, you know what, making decisions is something we need to do, because when we do that, we put everything behind us. I want to thank you for that. What do you see for your town and other towns? What do you see moving forward if we do get back to opening schools May 15th and stuff. What do you see as how things expand and move forward after that as far as opening up?
I think I think there'll be a new normal for 2020, and the models that that we've seen are going to go like up and down, right? So you're going to open up, people are going to think everything is hunky dory, and then there's going to be another wave of the flu. I think if we go that route, if people take it seriously, I think the new normal for all of 2020 will be people wearing masks, right? And not just, they'll go in stages. They'll start with a bandana, then they'll go to a KN95, and then they'll go to a 95 mask if they can get their hands on it. And people will be very careful on how they're going to go out and interact with each other. I think that it's very scary from an economic point of view because, like I was supposed to be in Disney World during spring break. I'm not there. Obviously, they shut down, and I don't think I'm going back this year, right? So where does that leave us with the rental market? Where does that leave us with the shore market? All of these different things. It's especially in the real estate industry. I don't know which way we're going. I think food businesses are going to do very well. I think local businesses are going to do very well because people will be home, and hopefully, if they have jobs and their jobs and they're telecommuting, they're working. I think that restaurants or carry-out restaurants will do very well. But I'm just like any other pundit right now. Trying to tell you what's going to happen in the next 9 months when 20 million people are out of work right now. And I don't know if they're going back or not. I can say this. I saw a restaurant on Cedar Lane that was closed that I didn't expect to be closed at 1 o'clock in the afternoon 2 days ago. And you kind of look at this and you're like, is that restaurant ever going to open back up? Is the landlord going to give him grace to open back up? Is he going to be able to open back up? Because, retail business is really, really tough, right? The margins are really small. Everything is based on cash flow. And so, you take a hit like this, and there is no insurance for this. There is no business interruption for a pandemic, right? So everybody was hoping that was going to happen, but it looks like the people who are giving the coverage are saying that no, it doesn't exist. So here's another part of the CARES Act that they could have came in very quickly, right? Both sides, right? I'm bashing both sides on this, right? Is that both sides could have just said, oh, we're going to give business interruption insurance. All right, done, right? The insurer is going to get money from the federal government. The insurer is going to pay out claims to small businesses. Everybody's happy and everybody works and keeps the economy moving. Instead, we have this crash and burn economy again, right? And if they say things like, and this is why I talk about this, because if they say things like, oh, they didn't know, or they didn't react, or we didn't have, it's BS, right? Because the Fed put in $500 billion right away of liquidity to the banks right away with repossession loans, so that none of their balance sheets stayed strong, right? And hedge funds couldn't come in and buy things for pennies on the dollars that were assets that were worth, a lot more than that. These are things that I think that really frustrate me, is because I said it at the beginning, I'll say it in the middle, and I'll say it to the end, is I don't believe government understands how to work for Main Street right now, and nobody's coming to save us. So what ends up happening is you have this anger, right? And you guys have both been at a closing table probably when people are angry and you're sitting there just trying to get the deal done, right?
Yeah.
And okay, it doesn't mean that we have to get all mad. You give some money, you give some money, I'll give some money. Let's get the deal done. Is that what we want to do? But if people become very emotional about this, nothing happens, right? So we need adults in the room to really talk about, hey, and seriously, like, sit down with Senator Menendez and Senator Booker and like, you guys didn't do this for us, and we're telling you that this didn't happen for us. And then if you get the reaction that you don't want, that's when you have to start writing editorials, and you have to say things like, this is why this isn't working, and this is why new people need to step up. And I think that it's the unnerving feeling for me is I'm going in on May 1st, and I don't know when taxes are due for the town, and we have to look at what our collection rate's going to be.
Right. Well, that's a big issue. That's a big issue we were talking about with the mortgage companies who are allowing people not to pay their mortgage or taxes for the next 2, 3, 4 months, right? If they don't pay their taxes to the mortgage companies, and the mortgage company is going to cover the taxes in the towns.
Yeah, the escrows, the escrow payments will be made.
Okay.
So the escrow payments that will be made from that part of it, because there is no outside the law for them. But it becomes very, like, again, here's another thing that was done just so poorly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the mortgage company said, the government said, the governor's office said that, okay, you have forbearance for 3 months, right?
Right.
So
Now, New York, Mayor Cuomo said it very well. He was like, look, if you have 360 payments, now you're not going to make these payments, but you're going to have 361, 362, 363, right? In New Jersey, I got phone calls because you're going to get 3 months worth of forbearance, right? But that 3 months is due in 90 days.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I don't have $3,000 now to pay my mortgage, what makes you think I'm going to have $9,000 in 90 days from now? Now it gets even better, right? Because you actually put yourself in, if you don't make that payment, right, and do that, catch up, then that in the next 30 days you're due for foreclosure. They can file foreclosure on you, and look, it's New Jersey, right? It's as long, and we all know this is like, we're still one of the top 5 in leading in foreclosures and bank-owned properties, and like they want to do it again.
Right.
Like it makes absolutely no sense of how these guys are, sometimes make these decisions.
Well, Mayor, let's take it one step further. I mean, you talked about, whether this restaurant's going to open up again and how will the landlord help them out. Who's going to help out the landlord, right? Who's going to help out the mom and pop property owners? I happen to be one of those. Who's going to help me out when I don't get rents paid, so I can't pay my bills and I can't go buy groceries? Who's going to help me out? And that has not been addressed either. And the forbearance issue, exacerbates the situation, because it's really a lot of crap, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, I think, the whole way how they're, like how it just doesn't seem like it's well thought out enough for Main Street,
Right.
and there's not enough money for Main Street. I think that, again, like I said, like you're talking about yourself, right? And there's just like the small business owner who has a few properties. Again, the margins are small. You make a decent living, but it's not like you're the Marriott family, right?
Right.
And I use that because I have 2 large hotels in my town, and I look at the CARES Act and I'm like, this doesn't address what the hotel owner and operator does, and people don't like unfairly, they don't understand what a small business owner goes through, right? And they don't understand, like, the amount of risk that we take to keep people on payroll and to keep people working. And I don't think it was thought out at all, right?
Right.
So, okay, if you're a landlord, right, what is it for the landlord who's just in time rent, basically, right? Like there's not a reserve there. You buy a property, you're making whatever, like a minimal return, 8% to 10%, whatever it is, right? And they expect you now to take on that mortgage responsibility from all your tenants.
Right.
All the renters' responsibility from all your tenants. And again, just not well thought out. Same thing, not well thought out. And I say this is a lot of it is because we elect people who aren't capable of doing the job. I mean, in politics, words are really cheap, right? You say the same thing over and over again. You regurgitate something you saw on the news. But then when you look at the substance of the guy or the woman who's representing you, what have they really done, right? What are they doing? Do you think that they care about you? Do you think that they're going to take your call in the middle of the afternoon or at night when you need help? And when they do they actually deliver anything? Or they throw up their hands and say, oh, you know what? We're waiting for the federal government to do this. We're waiting for state. Oh, we can't do this. We can't do that. And I think that those are the things that when you look for leaders in your town, especially, right, is look for people who have had leadership roles, right? Real leadership roles, not leadership roles where, it's just like, I made up this organization that I'm the president of, or these are the things that you got to really kind of look at. And those people could be your voice to go on to the next level. And there's a point where I think like business now, especially small business owners, really need to play a bigger part in society. And it's like, it's and I say this, it's like laughing. It's not like we had enough to do, right?
Right.
It's
Right.
chief marketing officer, CFO, what do you call that? Business development officer, chief sales officer, and then
Chief
CEO,
Power
right?
washer.
All those hats, right? All those hats, right? And then, okay, now we want to have a government relations department in that box, right? So it's very frustrating. But here we are, right? If we don't take on, it's almost like, if you don't. I put this post up that a lot of people have been reposting. It was a post of a donkey being carried by a World War II vet across the field, and he didn't have he didn't care about donkeys or anything like that, but they were walking through a minefield, and the moral of the picture was that the first thing you have to secure is the jackasses, because they don't know what a danger they are to everybody else, and you got to grab them and make sure that you can get to where they don't kill you.
I think it's time for the couple of senators named you mentioned earlier that they should step up and get down into the little people, help them out rather than worry about the other things. But I think they need to step up their leadership and do something down in Washington for us. And I don't see it, honestly, Mayor. With all due respect, I don't see it. And there's a lot of things that need to be done. But I do understand that there's a lot of things that need to be done. I do get that, but who knows? We'll see.
So what's your small business be doing now? What is there anything that we can change or do at this point? Like, we're all in this position now where all this money's been given out. We're all sitting here waiting to get something. We're all sitting here waiting to figure out how to open up a business again. What can we be doing now in order to press forward?
I think the first thing you have to do is look at the CARES Act and look at how it didn't work for you, right? Did you guys apply for loans?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you applied for loans, we all know you're never getting it, right? When they passed it, they said, "Oh, everybody's going to get a loan and it's going to be forgivable." Start there, right? Say, I went to XYZ Bank, and copy the CEO of whichever bank you went to, right? And say, these guys said that there were going to be loans. We applied. We didn't get it. What do we do next? Like, 3 simple things, right? Of saying, what do we do next, right? You're not going to get an answer back in a week, right? But those letters, you should send another one. And if 10 letters went by your organization week 1, 30 letters should go by week 2, right? And you keep sending them. And then one day on week 3, when they don't do it, you pick a day where you call all 3 of his offices and blow up his office phone with that. Organization is not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy just saying, "Oh, that guy didn't do this and this guy didn't do this and this guy." I've said it all the time. It's never. Yeah, we have to bring people together to want to act. And I think that the hardest thing about this, especially political leadership, is taking people who feel that they are not in power and empowering them, right? So that's the thing that I think that we have to do as leaders in our community, as well as small business leaders.
Right.
I agree. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, and that's what you're saying. It's like 1950s, 1960s hard work mentality. Squeaky wheel. Everybody can be squeaky and scream as hard as they can in a nice way. Right. So anyway.
So how do you guys think that the real estate market is going to go once we open back up?
I can tell you that I have demands up to wazoo. We have a lot of people coming from the city or from the apartments within Teaneck, outside Teaneck, looking to move. Some of the sellers are hesitant because they're not sure where the pricing or market's going to be right now, so they don't want to rush to put their houses on the market. Plus, they don't want people from random places in their house, touching their stuff, even with masks and gloves on. So, hopefully in the next month or 2, we can get back to some type of, spring market. But right now it's just super, super, cautious, and everyone's just, I think waiting on the sidelines to see what happens.
I think what you're going to have is you're going to have the real estate industry leading the way for everyone else to come back. Because let's face it, every time there's a home sale, that much 84 grand goes back into the economy, and that's what we're going to need. We're going to need that money going back in. The question that remains for me is, how are people going to react to being released after cabin fever has set in, and it's set into most people now? Are they going to react by wanting to go out? Are they going to be cautious? Are they going to throw caution to the wind and go to Nordstrom? What are they going to do? But as far as real estate is concerned, I think it's going to start going to take a week or so to get rolling, and then it's going to take off. I know that's quick, but I think it's going to be good.
Yeah. So, Mayor, I want to thank you for your leadership. Thank you for coming on today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Keep up with your good work that you're doing there in Teaneck, and be a real role model for other mayors around the state and country.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks. Guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Wow. A lot of good information there. There's a lot of issues going on with this CARES Act, a lot of issues with small businesses, but we got to do what we can to help each other out. Really, even more so now than ever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting the emails that really don't say much. It's just like they've got nothing else to do, so they're sending out emails telling you, we got it, we can't do anything.
Right.
Maybe you'll get this, maybe you'll get that, maybe you'll get another email telling you what to get when you get another email.
Right.
That's what I've been getting. I don't know about you, but
Right.
I think everybody just, as the old saying goes, and I hate to say it, but I have to hang in there. Let's keep supporting each other and helping people out, right?
That's it. That's all we can do. So listen, everyone, have a great weekend. We'll see you back here for week number 6, Monday morning, 8:45 a.m. Lots of new guests coming on next week. So we're looking forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.